Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Welcome back to yet another trading live stream. We're going to have a fun 30 minutes together, and we'll use the same setup as what we did yesterday. We'll talk about the markets, we'll talk about opportunities, and hopefully we will actually be able to talk about some opportunities that will be, that we'll have a chance to actually hit. But we shall see. I mean, at the moment, Bitcoin is quite bullish. So obviously we'll talk about that. But before we talk about anything, Alex, welcome to the stream. Mr. Kapsalon, welcome to the stream as well. Let me quickly notify everybody that we are actually live. And in the meanwhile, those of you who already have tuned in, let me know if the audio, etc. is all right. It shows that it is all right to me, but who knows, right? I mean, sometimes the connection is a little bit different, so let me know. But for now, let me quickly let everyone know that we are live. Yep. Give me a moment. I'm typing like I'm asleep. There we go. That is the first one. Also in there, and here, and then maybe also on X. I'm not certain how many people have notifications on with me on X, but why not? Why not? Why not? Okay, there we go. And there we go. I think we're all right. I'm just seeing an interesting clip. All right. We're ready to go. It took me 2 minutes, but now we're ready to go. So let's get right into it. KMLNW, welcome to the stream. All I do is trade. Welcome. Rami, Druids, Daniel, Jurk, User, welcome back to the stream. Navid, it's good to see you. Chris, welcome. Ryan will do it. Welcome to the stream. Chris is a clown, calls me a clown as well. Well, that's very nice of you. You make up lines up and down. First you say we are going up, next hour dumping. Aha. Well, when? And obviously, I mean, sometimes I am going to be wrong. What's up, that boy Kevin? El Matador, welcome to the stream. But okay, let's get right into it. So we'll use the same structure as what we did yesterday. So we'll start off with Bitcoin. I'm not certain how majors are looking at this point of time, so we'll have a quick look at that as well. Then we'll talk about altcoins, we'll talk about trading setups mostly. Okay, that is very much the key focus of this live stream, talking about trading setups, what to look for, what to avoid, and what to be careful about. And then at the end of the live stream, we'll take some requests. Yesterday the live stream, like the goal is to have these live streams in 30 minutes. And yesterday it was 51 minutes. So I'll try to keep it at 30 minutes this time around. So it's also a little bit easier for people watching a little bit later. If you are watching it a little bit later, then welcome. This will still be very easy to follow for all of you. But that's what we're going to do. Right, so we'll start off with Bitcoin / majors, but it depends. Then we will talk about, we'll talk about fundamentals first, but then altcoins, and then requests. Very simple, but obviously sometimes we'll take a different street and we'll talk a little bit more about some other things. And sometimes we'll focus very much on Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin at the moment is most tradable. Give me a brief moment. I'll be back. Okay, we're back. I had to clear my throat real quick. That's not something you wanted to hear. But before we get into this, before we get into the stream, and Alex, we will cover XRP as well. We'll cover Bitcoin, then XRP, and we'll see whether other majors are necessary as well. But before, let's to get into the stream. If you watched the stream yesterday, we identified this short setup. I think when we ended the stream, so to get to the 30-minute time frame, when we ended the stream yesterday, the price was sitting at this level right here. And I said, okay, if we break above that and then reclaim under the 30-day rolling VWAP, I think that's a short. And that was a perfect setup. If you took that, congratulations. Personally, today I took a small trade. I shorted here. It was if you look at the chart right now, it's almost nothing. But I shorted right here, stop loss above the spike, took profits at 66,200, and then stop loss at entry. So got out with the rest of it right there. So that's my personal trading in the last 24 hours. But let's talk about Bitcoin. So for me, well, no, let's talk about fundamentals first. Bear with me, guys. It's a little bit late as well. It's been a long day. The fundamentals at this point of time are obviously not amazing in itself, but the volatility index has come down significantly. Oil prices are also down, broke back below the previous year VWAP, and equities are absolutely bouncing, rallying, dare I say, at this point of time. So that makes me say that obviously, I mean, fundamentals in their core at this point of time are not great, but both the development of the fundamentals and the reaction of crypto to the fundamentals makes me quite optimistic. Now, does that mean that I think you should blindly buy into everything at this point of time? No. For me, it's quite clear what the most important level for Bitcoin is with for a potential breakout. I think if you go to the 4-hour time frame right here, we have the weekly value area high sitting at 69,100. You can also see that's confluent with the previous month VWAP and the 30-day rolling VWAP. So for me, the number one, it's a very risky trade setup, but it looks absolutely, it looks very clean, would be this breakout setup. Right, so the breakout above 69,000, hold that, and then a move into the low 70s. Now, is this a trade setup that I'm going to take? To be quite honest with you, if it happens in the next 2 hours, maybe. If it happens overnight, no. If it happens tomorrow, maybe. Because the thing is that the fundamentals are recovering well, but this is a risky setup, right? Because I'm a little bit blurry. Because the thing is that you're basically betting, if you're going to take this breakout trade, you're betting that this range that has held since the 5th of February is going to break, and that we're going to see a break into the upside and then a move into 73,000. And I think the only real way we can get a breakout like that is if the fundamentals are better as well. And the fundamentals, like I said, are improving at this point of time. And if they improve further, if those fundamentals become, somewhat bullish, then I will take this. Otherwise, I won't. Otherwise, I'm actually more interested in something like this, right? So if the fundamentals remain as how they are right now, and we get a break above 69,000, I'll just be shorting the reclaim again. Basically the same idea as yesterday. But I think that level is very very interesting to trade Bitcoin right now, 69,000. And then to the downside, it becomes a little bit less clear. A level that I have loved to look at for the last couple of days has been 67,600. That's where we have the previous week VWAP, so maybe a breakdown below that. But then you instantly have that 7-day rolling VWAP. So then it also gets quite tricky in how you're going to trade that. No, I actually think to the downside, there are certainly levels here in the middle that I think, okay, those are actually quite interesting for Bitcoin to potentially trade. But I think the only area where I'm actually interested in potentially longing Bitcoin would be lower, right? So then I'm talking about, and I'm not telling you that I think it's most likely we're going to drop down into this, but the only area where I would say, okay, there's actually interesting to look for long setups again for Bitcoin. At this point of time, tomorrow it might be different depending on how the price action develops. would be this level right here between 65,000 and 64,200 right here, right? So there we have the previous month VWAP and the previous month value area low and the previous week value area low. So those are very much the two areas that I'm looking at trading for Bitcoin, 69,000 and then 65,000, 64,000. And then 65,000, 64,000, I'll just be looking for something like this, right? So a breakdown below, reclaim long, or just a good reaction at that level, place a stop loss with a little bit of margin, and then a move into the 7-day rolling VWAP or so. Those are my ideas at this point of time for Bitcoin. And like I said, Bitcoin at this point of time, I personally at least, I've made most of my profits in the last 2 months with Bitcoin. And I think it's very tradable. I think for a lot of you, just trading Bitcoin is the way to go. So, yeah, Broodje Kapsalon, it's possible that we break out. Like I said, I mean, it's realistic, and I expect a breakout at some point of time. I just think at this point of time, it's a little bit too early to, like, if we have a range for a month, and through thick and thin we stay within the range, I would argue that we need some sort of a fundamental shift to break out, which is not necessarily true, right? I could be wrong. But that is at least what I'm going for right now. And if we break out yesterday, I might as well long, but still. Let's do some comments here in the middle, by the way. Jurg, thank you very much. I appreciate this those words very much. Daniel, no. It's like troops to Lebanon doesn't really matter. And, you know, when I say that, it obviously sounds very cruel, but that has never really mattered in the past, unless it also meant escalation with Iran. But there already is escalation with Iran, of course. And so no, it's not super bearish. What the market cares more about right now is oil prices, and we just got some news, I believe, that the United States is thinking about escorting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is also one of the reasons I think why we're seeing some bullish momentum right here. El Matador short here towards the VWAP. Honestly, like, it can work certainly. But personally, I would prefer to wait for some sort of a setup like that fake out that we had yesterday, fake out above the 30-day rolling VWAP, and then short into the 7-day rolling VWAP. It can certainly work. It's just not a trade setup I would take at the moment. Stirmelli, idea of when we're going to drop down to 50,000 or lower, I would say Q3, Q4, 2026. At this point of time, that is my my time frame for that. Sitka, yes, it would be better. It would be better. Not even a bounce. Like so when we're talking about this breakout setup above 69,000, we don't even need it to bounce. What would also work, and this might sound very strange, but if we break above that and leave a massive gap to the downsides, like if we leave a gap like this, that counts as well. But I just need to see strength, right? So strength in a breakout can be a bounce, but it can also be creating a gap. And I know that's very counterintuitive, because I always say, okay, gaps get filled, which yes, but that gap can also fill much later, and we can get a move into the upside first. So one of those two things. Okay, let's talk about XRP real quick here, and then I'll take a look at some other majors if it's necessary. Yesterday we spoke about this potential setup on XRP. I still think this is relevant, right? Today XRP pushed down into the value area low, sitting at 1.34 cents, but we have strong support here between 1.33 and 1.31. So XRP at this point of time is still, Alex, it's still weaker, unfortunately, but so that is so that's not great, but it's still tradable. But if you look at the price action for XRP today, what you can see is that we just got a liquidation spike into the 7-day rolling VWAP. After that, we also rejected. So at the moment, XRP is still relatively weak. So I would still wait for some sort of a something like this on XRP. I would trade, right? So if we get a move into the previous month value area low, and then we reclaim 1.32.5 or 1.33 cents, I think that's a long on XRP. But outside of that, I'd be careful. I mean, maybe this area here, at 1.42 for a short. We have the previous week value area high and the previous month VWAP and the 30-day rolling VWAP. So that's also a possibility, right? So I don't think XRP is going to rally into that. So that's why this is a bit of a hypothetical setup. But if we get a breakout above the 30-day rolling VWAP, but we find resistance at the previous week value area high, then we can get something like this, right? So where we get a fake out above the 30-day rolling VWAP, respect the resistance above that, then short the reclaim back below the 30-day rolling VWAP. That is also alternatively, so either that for a short on XRP or something like this for a long on XRP. Those would be my thoughts. And like I said yesterday, I do like to trade majors. Some people I saw on the Solana, for example, Ryan. It's a good coin to trade as well. But personally, at this point of time, what I do is I just look at the Bitcoin pairs, right? So Solana BTC bearish, Litecoin BTC bearish, AFEX BTC bearish, Dogecoin BTC is bearish. Dogecoin BTC is getting towards some strong support, so that might be interesting for a buy later. XRP BTC is still bearish, and Ethereum BTC also still bearish. So whenever that is the case, I just avoid majors and I just trade Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin and maybe XRP, but that's just because XRP, I like trading XRP. Okay, I've traded XRP quite a lot on my own, and I analyze it daily as well. So then you get quite proficient with how it moves, so to say. I 100% understand. I mean, Solana to scalp that on the lower time frames, I've seen some very beautiful setups on that as well, and it's been very respectful. Like the previous week VWAP, beautiful. Reclaim here of the 30-day rolling VWAP, reclaim here, fake outs above the fake out below the 7-day reclaim. Beautiful setups all along the way. Druids, I think so, yeah. And the indicator with the monthly value area low, it's a paid indicator. My apologies. I think you can create this yourself as well, quite easily, but still. Okay, well, let's talk about altcoins. We'll talk about altcoins now, then we will do some requests. Daniel Ondo, I'll cover in the requests. And HBAR as well. Cardano, Bendeck Bros. I made a video on that this morning. So if you, like, I can certainly talk about that again briefly in this live stream, but if you really want an in-depth video analysis on Cardano, I would very much just recommend you to watch that video. I'm 100% sure that it will answer all the questions that you have. But let's talk about some altcoins that I like at this point of time. And then we'll do some requests. So I do have my own list of altcoins at the moment. But it is not a very big list, and I also don't think that there's a lot of imminent trading setups there. NEAR has obviously been high in momentum more recently, but NEAR is struggling. It broke above the 90-day rolling VWAP, but ultimately it seems a little bit more likely that NEAR is going to get somewhat of a move into the downside. So NEAR is still an interesting altcoin to keep your eyes on, but in terms of trading, I think it's much too late to long this, and for that, the situation with the entire market is also a bit too tricky, as in that Bitcoin is at resistance, right? And NEAR is still to a large extent correlated to Bitcoin, and it's becoming more correlated to Bitcoin. So, but NEAR is still worth it to keep your eyes on that. ICP, not really. Polygon, not really as well. Yeah, Mantle. So Mantle is the first altcoin that you can see right here is actually holding on fairly well. Mantle over the course of today, from the start of the NYO, has been the strongest altcoin. But when I was looking at it, it's a little bit of a difficult chart to trade, because what you can see with Mantle is that we had this range forming right here. We broke above that yesterday. I saw the breakouts, but I did not trust it well enough. And then from there, we started rallying higher. But now the situation for Mantle is that we have already broken out. We have already seen some sort of a retest. And the volume is quite low. And we have resistance as well right here at 73 and 72, 71 cents. So I think Mental is an altcoin worth keeping your eyes on. I do want to see where these Fibonacci levels come from because it looks very strange, but okay. I think Mental is definitely a coin to keep your eyes on, but maybe it's a little bit more interesting if we actually get a pullback. You can see right here, for example, that Mental has a very interesting level here at 64 and a half cents. That could be interesting. It does look quite strong, to be fair, and we have the previous month value area high at 68.25. So maybe something like this is an opportunity. If we get a reclaim below that, get a move into the downside. On Mental, I think this generally, like 64 cents, is a possibility to buy into. But outside of that, I would not force too much on Mental. Mental historically also is a little bit of a volatile coin, as you can see. But Mental, definitely one of the altcoins I think you should focus on right now. Outside of that, a lot of the altcoins at this point of time, as you can see, are very correlated. And when we look at volume, when we look at momentum, Power is a little bit higher but manipulated. Pippin is higher but manipulated. Fala is higher but very maybe manipulated, maybe not, but in general a very difficult chart to analyze potentially. Analyze and trade. River manipulated. Sahara manipulated. As I said, NIR is still relatively high in momentum and in volume at this point of time, so therefore it remains on the watch list. But like I said, or like we just saw, I don't think that there's any setups very close on it. VVV is normal. AVEX is not high. BitTensor is normal. Aptos, maybe. I also saw Aptos here. But Aptos itself is obviously a shit project, so it's a little bit difficult sometimes to to say that. Fartcoin, no. Uniswap, no. Plasma, maybe. Pengu is very correlated at the moment. Someone requested Pengu. Be careful with that. Eigen, no, this is all quite correlated. There's nothing interesting here. So no, I mean, to be honest, altcoins at the moment are just, there's not a lot of interesting altcoins to trade. I would say maybe Aptos. Like Aptos is performing relatively well against the markets at the moment. But it's tricky. Aptos. Pretty good reaction. Strong resistance at 1.06. Structure break. Yeah, Aptos maybe. It's tricky conditions. Yeah, you can see some momentum coming into Aptos. I would say maybe on Aptos. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, obviously it's APT. That's Aptos. Like maybe on Aptos we did gain some momentum, and you have a little bit of a strange value area here. Like if Aptos does something like this, so it pushes down into the main support at 98 and 97 and a half cents. If we push down into that and then actually reclaim like $1 or 99 cents, so if we do something like this, like then Aptos is a potential buy, I'd say. So this would basically be retesting the range and then confirming the breakout, right? Because now we had this range into the upside, or we had this range, not into the upside. Then we had a breakout. So now if we retest the range and resecure the breakout, I think that's a potential long. So Aptos is one to keep your eyes on. I'll place my price alert right now at 99 cents because I do want to first see the reaction at the 30-day rolling VWAP and then a reclaim. And then I think Aptos is a long because the momentum is there. As you can see right here, we have a momentum initiative candle. We have some room into the upside to rally into, to potentially test that wick, to potentially test that spike. So I think Aptos is something, but outside of that, it's a very it's definitely not a very lively market at the moment. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's right now what we need to know about the markets. Like I said, 69,000 potential breakout trades, also potential fake out trades on Bitcoin. I think that is by far the most interesting setup at this point of time. Aptos is interesting, but it's very risky. And outside of that, near is nothing. Mental is also tricky. Mental is better from lower. And Plasma, so XPL is also a coin that has been quite resilient. Like if Plasma... No. I'll tell you about this if it gets more interesting, but it's too risky at this point of time. Okay, let's do some requests. And we have 5 more minutes, but I think we'll do it a little bit longer, just to do some more requests. Adam Urbanik, worth investing in Night. I covered Night a little bit earlier, and it's definitely a coin that has potential to rally. But the thing is that $1 billion in a market cap, I think, is very high. And I think a lot of the momentum that it has came at the start. Back then it was very hyped. Privacy was also still a very hot narrative. And none of that is the case. So can we rally into the mainnet? Yes. Should you buy it? That's ultimately a decision that you have to make for yourself. Long term, I would personally not invest in it. Navid, single prints are just are just very strong, and single prints also are very decisive in a way. As in, if there's a single print and you use that to take a trade, then it either spikes down into that single print and it reverses, or it doesn't, right? And if it doesn't, you can very quickly de-risk or close. And if it does, you usually have a pretty good entry, and therefore you can also set your risk reward quite aggressively. So it's a bit of a high risk, high reward indicator, if you can call it an indicator. It really isn't. It really not necessarily is. Bitcoin dominance on the rise, indeed. It's also what we saw earlier when looking at those majors charts, such as XRP BTC, Ethereum BTC. I expect this to continue. Very often when instability is high, Bitcoin dominance goes up and the USDT dominance goes down, right? Or USDT dominance also goes up, sorry. Pump, chance to break out. Pump we covered yesterday in the live stream. And what I said on Pump is that what we needed to see here to zoom in right here. So here we had a pump breakout, and what I said is that we needed to get a drop into that level, right? So into the point of control of this range right here, which was sitting here at 1976, which we got right here, and then we needed to reclaim 0.2 cents. We never did that. This is a sign of weakness. Okay, fake out, reclaim back into the range. We had some volume today, but ultimately the volume is down lower. So can pump break out at some point of time? Yes, certainly. The main area to look at is still 0.2 cents. But I don't think it's most likely at the moment, unfortunately. Yeah, Ondo. Let's have a look at Ondo. Ondo. Look, Daniel, you know my thoughts about Ondo long term, right? I think long term these prices are not bad. It's just that if you see this chart here, like it's just very stable. We've had a bunch of fake outs here, so I would be careful with this. I still think, relatively long term that this can rally up higher into 30 cents and into 33 cents in the next 2-3 months. I do expect that. But potentially I would wait for a move back down lower into 23, 24 and accumulate some there. And Ondo at the moment is also not a coin that has a lot of momentum, where the market doesn't have momentum. It's just following the markets at this point of time, which usually I would say avoid altcoins that just follow the market and have no momentum on their own. Atomic Joker, yes. That's the main area that I'm looking at. 69,000 is by far the highest confluence and the most relevant level, I'd say. Druids, Canton long term. I look, it's sometimes it's good to realize when you don't have the information. Canton, I'm not certain about, right? Because Canton has these major partnerships with big institutions, but it also has a market cap of $6 billion. And I have seen some major partnerships and some utility and usage of the Canton network, but I think at this valuation, it's too risky of a bet. And I don't know enough about the extent to which institutions are actually using their product and that they're actually making money off of that for me to invest in a $6 billion market cap coin, right? It can certainly rally. I mean, I'm not telling you not to invest. That's just the reason at this point of time that I'm personally not investing. Joseph, let's cover Sand real quick. I haven't looked at Sand in a while. Yeah, bearish. Do we have a strong bottom here? Maybe. Oh, what a chart. What a chart. I still remember 2021 Sand. Look at how bullish it was. Absolutely ridiculous that it's trading at 8 cents right now when it was trading at $6. But can this be a bottom? I mean, we have some strong bullish divergences. That helps. Look, my general thoughts on the markets are that we are bottoming right now. And it can be volatile at the bottom, of course, but that we are bottoming. And that I expect to move into the upside at some point of time. I expect the same for Sand, right? So I do think Sand has the potential here to locally bottom, maybe do something like this still. That is possible in a local bottom. And then from there, stay relatively stable. And the key area to watch for a potential break and a structure break is 9.3 cents. Break above 9.3 cents, and we can see a move into 11, 12 cents. You know how strong Sand can be, but just place price alerts and wait for that, right? Because there's no real indication for Sand at this point of time that it's going to break out. It's similar to the coin we just covered. It's similar to Ondo in the sense that it's very correlated to Bitcoin, to the general markets, I'd say. Yeah, Todd, it's difficult because the new coins, like some of them are some of them do very well, but it's also a bit of survivor bias, right? And normally you only hear about the coins that did very well, and Canton and Knight, they were also part of some sort of a narrative got behind it, and that's what really pushed it up higher. But unfortunately, it did not last. Okay. Let's Remedix, El Matador. I have no idea. I looked at it, I think a month ago, and back then it had like migrated to a different site, and it still was raising cash. Best case scenario, they launch when the markets are relatively bullish, and we can make some money out of it. Worst case scenario, they just keep raising money and they never launch. At the moment, I also spoke with some of the team members. I mean, they seem to have a really good project, to be honest. That's also why I invested. I still have quite a lot of money invested in that in that project, locked up. But I think their execution has failed miserably. So we will see. Zcash. Okay, let's do Zcash, and we'll do Litecoin, and then we're done. Then I have some other work that I still have to get to as well. Zcash in general. I have a price alert for Zcash that hasn't gone off. So in general, I think we have to be bearish for now. So that's the bias that I have up front. Can you scalp it? Probably. Short term, it's just consolidating, right? So it's choppy, so it's difficult to predict that. If I would have to predict that, I would just predict something like this, so that it continues. But there is an interesting level right here on Zcash at 228. 228 is the bottom of this balance that we had, and the 7-day rolling VWAP. So if we get a breakout above that, I think that could be interesting. I actually will set a price alert there. I think it's interesting enough. But anything down here, I would avoid, honestly. Maybe on the lower time frames you can scalp that, but it's going to be very it's going to be quite difficult, I'd say. So Litecoin in general, as you can see, it's relatively weak against Bitcoin. So that's why I wouldn't trade it personally myself. Yeah, Litecoin, I mean, there's nothing special about Litecoin at the moment. And that seems like I'm trying to be very easy about this, and that this is the last coin that I'm analyzing and then I'm done. But it is true, okay? Litecoin is just consolidating here, fully with the markets. We have two relevant levels for Litecoin. To the upside, it's 56, okay? That's the main area that we need to break out above. To the downside, it's 51. That's the main area that we need to hold. Those are the two areas that I would look for trades. So either a breakout trade like this, or a fake out trade like this, basically the same as what we spoke about with Bitcoin. And then the previous month value area low is where I would look for a long setup, right? So something like this. So if you want to trade Litecoin, I'd focus on those setups. But generally, if you just want to buy Litecoin at the breakout, wait for a breakout above 56. And that it actually holds, right? And that there's a gap or there's a lot of strength. That's what I would say. So we're going to end the live stream. We'll be back again tomorrow, right? Believe it or not. Doing some trading. Maybe then the markets are a little bit better. At the moment, it seems like Bitcoin is not going to break out above the 30-day rolling VWAP. But remember, this is still the main area that we want to trade, right? So 69,000 on Bitcoin. Get a potential breakout, hold the breakout, and we can potentially long. This is very risky. This is unlikely to happen, but it is a possibility. What I think is more likely is a breakout above, fake out back down below that, short into the 7-day rolling VWAP. So those are the two key setups that I want to leave you with, and that I'll be looking at for myself as well. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you for tuning back into the live stream. I'll be back with new videos tomorrow morning. I'll be back at the live stream tomorrow evening as well. I think it's going to be evening. I mean, I'm still kind of thinking about maybe doing it in the morning, maybe doing it a little bit at the end of the afternoon, or potentially doing it even later in the evening. So definitely let me know as well what you think about that. What would be best for you? Also, let me know down in the comments if you're watching this a little bit later. But that's it for now. So